Here's a question nobody's really asking out loud. Do you actually need 3 different headphones from the same brand in 2025? Or is Beyerdynamic just hedging its bets? This year, they've rolled out the Aventho 200, the Amiron 200, and the Amiron Zero. 3 very different takes on what modern wireless headphones should be. And if you're wondering which of these actually deserves a place on your head, let's break them down the way I would if I was testing them day after day, in real-world conditions, no marketing fluff, no sugarcoating. Let's start with the Aventho 200. The one Beyerdynamic is clearly positioning as the star of the show. This is their over-ear, closed-back, active noise-canceling model. And it's the kind of headphone you can throw on in a noisy cafe, on a long-haul flight, or even just around the house when you want to tune out the world. On paper, the specs are impressive. 45mm drivers, Bluetooth 5.4, aptX lossless support if your device can handle it, and a claimed battery life of over 60 hours with noise canceling turned off, or about 40 hours with it on. But let me put it in practical terms. You can charge these for 15 minutes and get a solid day of playback. That's the kind of fast charge claim that actually matters in the real world. The design is another standout. There's a weight to the Aventho 200, but it's not the kind that fatigues you. At just under 300 grams, they feel sturdy without being oppressive. The headband has this subtle groove at the top, a recess designed to ease pressure on the crown of your head. It sounds like a gimmick, but after a few hours of wear, you start to notice that you're not reaching up to adjust them like you might with bulkier ANC cans. The yokes are aluminum, the pads are plush memory foam, and here's a detail I love. Both the pads and the battery are replaceable. That's rare in 2025, and it's one of those things you only appreciate if you've had to throw away a perfectly good headphone because the battery died. Now, how do they actually sound? In my testing, the Aventho 200 leans toward Beyerdynamic's classic signature: clean mids, crisp treble, and a bass that's present but never overpowering. With ANC on, you lose a sliver of openness in the upper range, but vocals still cut through clearly. Flip ANC off and you get that extra bit of sparkle back. What struck me most is how consistent they are across different genres. Play a jazz track with delicate cymbals. They shimmer without sounding harsh. Switch to something electronic with heavy low end, and while the bass isn't skull-rattling, it's controlled and musical. It's the kind of sound that invites you to listen for hours, not just blast a song and move on. But ANC itself? It's good, solid, dependable, though not the absolute best in the market. Airplane rumble drops down to a manageable throb. Cafe chatter fades into the background. But the Aventho doesn't quite create that vacuum-sealed silence that the very top-tier ANC brands chase. Instead, it balances noise reduction with maintaining sound quality. And honestly, I prefer that. Too much ANC can sometimes feel like pressure in your ears. Here, it's natural, it's usable, and for most people, more than enough. Now let's pivot to the Amiron 200. This one's a completely different beast, an open-ear, sport-ready design. Think of it as Beyerdynamic's answer to the growing demand for headphones that let you hear your surroundings. They sit on your ears, not over them, and the hooks keep them secure while you move. They're light, resistant to sweat and dust with an IP54 rating, and they're clearly made for active use. Battery life clocks in at about 11 hours on the buds themselves, with the case pushing that up into the mid-30s. Quick charge gets you an hour and a half of listening in just 5 minutes, which is handy if you're about to head out for a run and realize they're dead. So how do they sound when you're actually in motion? Open-ear designs always sacrifice isolation, and yes, you lose that chest-thumping bass. But there's a surprising amount of detail here. Running through a park, I could still pick out vocals clearly. Guitars had texture, and percussion came through with enough punch to keep my pace steady. They're not for critical listening in a quiet room, and that's not the point. These are for staying aware, hearing the car pulling up beside you, the cyclist on your left, or even just your own breathing. And in that role, they excel. They're comfortable, they stay put, and after an hour of movement, you forget you're even wearing them. Finally, the Amiron Zero, the most affordable of the trio, and arguably the most interesting design. These are ultra-light, clip-on open-ear headphones that weigh just 6 grams per side. That's featherweight. They hook onto your outer ear, and once they're on, they almost disappear. Battery life is shorter, around 6 hours on their own, with the case topping them up to about 20. That's fine for casual listening, not for marathon sessions, but they're clearly designed for a different lifestyle. Here's what surprised me. The sound quality, while not powerful, is actually enjoyable in the right settings. Sitting at my desk, I could hear music clearly while still catching every background sound in the room. Walking down a city street, I could follow a podcast without drowning out the noise of traffic. They don't pretend to give you deep bass or studio-grade clarity. They give you convenience and awareness. And for some people, that's exactly what they want. They're also the most discreet of the three. From a distance, it looks like you're not wearing headphones at all. Now let's line them up side by side. Aventho 200. This is your flagship, your all-rounder, your workhorse. If you want one pair that does almost everything well, commuting, working, long listening sessions, this is it. The sound quality is refined, the battery life is excellent, the build is premium, and the fact you can replace parts makes them future-proof. The only caveat? If you crave the absolute strongest ANC on the market, you might look elsewhere. Amiron 200. This one's for the active crowd. It's not trying to isolate you, it's trying to keep you connected to your environment. The sound is balanced for an open design, the fit is secure, and the durability is reassuring. You wouldn't choose these for critical listening, but for running, cycling, or gym sessions, they're a smart pick. Amiron Zero. These are the everyday minimalists. Slip them on for a walk, keep them in your pocket, use them at your desk. They're about being so light and unobtrusive that you forget they're there. They won't win over bass heads or isolation lovers, but for casual, always aware listening, they make a lot of sense. So which one should you buy? That depends on what you value most. If you want a single do-it-all headphone and you care about balanced sound and long life, go Aventho 200. If you live a more active lifestyle and want something that won't cut you off from the world, go Amiron 200. And if you just want something featherlight and easy, something you can wear for hours without noticing, the Amiron Zero is your pick. All right, let's put this into real-world terms. Imagine you're standing in a store, 3 boxes in front of you, Aventho 200, Amiron 200, Amiron Zero. Which one do you walk out with? Here's how to decide. If you're the kind of person who's constantly on the move, long train rides, airplane commutes, working in cafes, the Aventho 200 is the one that makes sense. It's designed to give you a bubble of consistent sound wherever you are. The ANC isn't just a gimmick. It's tuned to shave off the drone of engines, the hum of an office, the chatter of a busy coffee shop. You can charge it in a coffee break and get through an entire day. And because you can swap pads and even the battery, you're not buying something disposable. You're buying a headphone that's going to last. The only caveat is this. If you demand the very best noise canceling on the market, there are a couple of rivals that still edge it out. But if what you care about is long battery life, balanced sound, and comfort over hours of use, the Aventho 200 is the obvious pick. Now maybe you're the opposite. You don't sit still, you run, you bike, you hit the gym. You want headphones that keep up with you, not weigh you down. That's where the Amiron 200 steps in. The open-ear design means you'll hear that car coming up behind you or the weights clanking beside you, and the secure hooks keep them locked in place no matter how much you move. Sweat resistance means you don't have to baby them, and the quick charge feature is a lifesaver when you're lacing up your shoes and realize you forgot to charge. The sound won't give you earth-shaking bass, but it will give you clear mids and highs, enough punch to keep your pace steady without isolating you from your surroundings. If you're active, safety-aware, and you value awareness as much as sound, Amiron 200 was built for you. And then there's the Amiron Zero. Think of these as the casual, everyday option. They weigh almost nothing, 6 grams per side, and once they're clipped on, you'll forget they're there. These are perfect if you're the kind of person who wants to hear everything. Your colleagues calling your name, the street around you, the background of your environment. You'll get enough audio for podcasts, for playlists while walking, for light listening at your desk, and you'll barely notice the weight. They're not going to blow you away with power, and they're not designed for loud trains or planes. But if you want discreet, comfortable, always-on audio that just slips into your daily life, Amiron Zero is the right fit. So here's the chart. In plain words, pick Aventho 200 if your life is built around travel, work, or long listening sessions, and you want a premium all-rounder. Pick Amiron 200 if you're active and need headphones that stay put, let you hear the world, and survive sweat and dust. Pick Amiron Zero if you value lightness, discretion, and comfort above all else, and you don't mind sacrificing deep bass or isolation. 3 models, 3 lifestyles. None of them are redundant. They each serve a different kind of person. The only real question is, which one sounds like you? And maybe, just maybe, the real takeaway is this. In 2025, headphones aren't just about sound quality anymore. They're about context. They're about how and where you use them. Beyerdynamic gets that, and these 3 new models prove it.